Hi, everybody. This is Mike Leahy. Thanks for joining us today. Bart Fannin is joining me. He is our operations manager. This is our refresher class. We've had tons of classes on our dashboard software, but I've been noticing lately that some people maybe are new to the organization. Maybe when we had training classes, you didn't participate for whatever reason, or things have changed in the company. So we decided to use this refresher concept as a way to kind of go over things in a lot of people who are new to the software. I'm reading the comments of it. They don't have anybody to ask, well, how do I use this? So I think that's what we're going to go through today. So at the beginning, I thought it'd be important to talk about how we design the software. And at the beginning of this, maybe it's more important to say, we have unlimited phone support with our software, unlimited phone support, unlimited training. We'll do training one-on-one, we'll do departmental training, we'll do company training, however you work. And we even jokingly say we'll do retraining for people who have forgotten and want to have kind of refreshers. So on the handout, I've given you the phone number and the email address. Please give us a call. No question is too small, too embarrassing. Just ask what you have. So the thing that we want to talk about today that's important is every manufacturing company, 90% of our customers are manufacturers. 90% of every manufacturer does things a little bit differently. And one of the challenges of our software is to sort of accommodate, provide a ground, a baseline, a foundation, and then be able to build on that. I want to make sure everybody's seeing my screen okay. Okay, so the first thing is that we have to have a foundation, and then from there give you the tools to allow you to build onto it. Another goal of ours was that this needs to be a real-time MRP. In the Macola 10 software, the MRP regeneration runs a lot faster, but for people who are on older software, it takes minutes or hours to run. So one of our goals was to have real-time. Our MRP regeneration takes typically less than 15 seconds. On my database, you'll see it only takes 3 or 4 seconds. So we wanted to create a real-time MRP. We wanted to create a multi-location MRP. Macola's MRP is excellent, but it contains a lot of features that slow it down that nobody uses. So we wanted to have a, excuse me, what we call a non-setup, a no-setup MRP. In other words, the Macola MRP requires, say, 6 or 8 settings. They're a little bit confusing. You have to know what they mean and what happens if you don't choose the right one. We've eliminated that, and we're just focusing on dates. Okay, the next thing that we wanted to do, and that's the screen I have up here, is the Macola inventory files. The scope of it is excellent, but it's missing some information. It's missing, and we have expanded it to include that. So for example, we've taken and added months of inventory on hand. We've added 3, 6, and 12-month average usage and total usage. So you can start seeing a trend line, and you can start seeing excess inventory here. Additionally, we've added date of last usage, date of last purchase, date of last inventory activity. I'll slide this over a little bit. Date of last manufacture, date of last sale. So these fields are populated at a minimum once a day. We have a program that runs in the middle of the night and recalculates all of this. So in addition to that, what we've also added is the ability to go back and look back in time. So you can look at usage for the past 12 months, actually the past 24 months, usage, on-hand quantity, what was transferred, what was purchased, what was used. So we now have what we feel is a much better foundation to build upon, to give you the information and be able to analyze this and better manage your supply chain. And if I'm going too fast on this, or if I've accidentally skipped over things, the handout material allows you to see this just as well. Okay, the other design goal that we had was to answer the mantra of show me my shortages, show me my shortages, show me my shortages. That the basis of that, and everybody has shortages of some sort. You may not have a shortage this week, but if you looked out 2 weeks, you may see a shortage you didn't know about. So a lot of focus on shortages. Okay, so what we've done is make believe that you are, it's Monday morning and we're trying to determine, do we have any interruptions? Can we make it through the week? So we have customer order. I'm in the customer service module. We have customer order shortages. And technically what we're doing, and it works this way with all of them, the red setup says, how many days do you want to look out? So let's make believe that it's Monday morning. Can I make it through Friday? I'm the customer service. I'm going to say, okay, that's a regen right there. That's a full regen. The customer service manager, I have provided, I promised customers that we will have these products shipped on time. Okay, these 16 products, I'm not going to be able to ship them on time. And so I'm going to click on this to show the underlying detail. Red is not good, green is good, a white is a replenishment. So what we're doing is we are using this, we're commingling the demand and replenishment data, and we're sorting it by that. So we'll dwell on this just for a second. We have a production replenishment coming in on June 26th, but we needed it back here on the 23rd or even before that. So again, we're looking down here, and then we look to infinity for any replenishments that might be coming in the future. And this also handles a forecast. So again, the idea is in customer service, somebody has to go down and reconcile all these. Are we going to lean on production? Are we going to lean on the vendor? Are we going to tell the customer, I'm sorry? So this is the beginning of it. Customer orders. In the production module, we have the same thing. This is now component shortages. Again, the drill is the same. I'm going to look out the next 5 days. Can I make it through Friday? I'm going to hit OK. That's a full MRP regen. I'll do that again. Right there, right there. And this is a full database that we borrowed from a customer. We renamed everything. But the idea is this is a full database that we're looking at. So the same thing here is I have to drill down. Red is not good. White is okay, except these replenishments they're not only coming in late, but they're coming in an insufficient quantity. So I start off being in the red and I end up over the next 5 days. So these replenishments, you can see I needed a total of 13. I'm only getting 3 here. I'm only getting 2 here. So this is the beginning of what we've done with replenishments. I'll jump ahead here and into our MRP module, and I'll show you something that we've done more recently. Again, I'm emphasizing that every company does things a little bit differently. Some companies want to know, do I have the components when the order arrives? The customer's on the phone, or the customer we've just hung up with the customer, we need to know, can we make this product right now? Others will say, no, we're going to wait until we release the order to the floor. So let's take a look at this first one. These are sales orders. You can see the order number. And I'm drilling down. I drill down on the 62, this part right here. And the key to this is, can I make it, yes or no? So this is this is a summarized bill of material for this item. And it's saying I do not have enough of these 3 components. I need 1,251. I'm already negative on availability. I have a bunch on hand, but they're allocated to somebody else already. And then the same thing here for manufacturing. I'm looking at this item right here. This is a summarized bill of material. I'll give you a little more room to see this. Yes, no, yes, no. So again, people, they view these things differently. They have different. They want different tools. So I'm showing you what these two here are new, relatively new this year. Okay. The last design concept that we had was we wanted to allow you to have a production forecast and be able to easily easily manage that. So I'm in these are sales and marketing budgets, and then this item and location, this is the production forecast. So we can handle dollars, we can handle quantities, and so on. You can import these from Excel. Um, you can create the budget from history. Okay, so this is the design goal. So we've taken like 15 minutes, and the idea is to give you a feel for what we're trying to do. Again, the Macola database is an excellent database, but it needed a little bit of tweaking. It needed us to add these additional fields. So anytime you see a field in the cream color, these are fields that we've added within dashboard that refresh once or twice a day. And so you have a much better toolbox than you had with the standard software. Okay, so we're on page 2 now. So
I have a question when you're at a break, Mike.
oh, sure. Go ahead, Bart.
Okay. Does the MRP replenish date come from the purchase order promise date?
Oh, yes, you took the words right out of my mouth. We were on page 2 on the handout, and we are just about to talk about that.
Okay.
The answer is, well, let's just go in there right away. I'm going to administration, I'm going to company settings, and I'm going to MRP. And the answer is maybe. It depends on what field you want to use in Macola. So we're on the top of the handout, and we're talking about customer order, purchase orders, and production order due dates. In other words, what are the critical dates that your company needs to use? Now, a lot of times, this is funny but not funny. We'll talk to the people in customer order. Well, we'll talk to the buyers, and they say we're using the promise date. And then we'll talk to the inventory control people, and they'll say, no, we're using for purchase orders. We're not using the promise date. We're using the request date. So what we say, sort of jokingly, half jokingly, is that there needs to be a little poster in the break room in the company that says these are the fields. This is the field we're going to use for customer orders. This is the field we're going to use for purchase orders, for production orders, and so on. So in the setup of this, you have to decide which one of these fields you want to use as your, what I call the drop dead date for that. So if it is promise date, then it's using promise date. If it's request date, then it's using request date. So Bart, did I answer that fully?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. So the first thing is everybody in the company has to be on board as to what field we're going to use. And you may think that sounds elementary or stupid or so on, but I can tell you that the people typically in customer order entry are the last ones to hear about this, because in the Macola, when you key in a customer order, a lot of fields are defaulted and may not be the field that you want to be in there. In other words, for customer orders, let's look at this for customer orders. We have all of these fields. Are we going to use the request date? Are we going to use the promise date? Are we going to use this thing called REQ date? Let's find that on here. Okay, REQ does not stand for request date. It stands for required ship date. So what that means is, in order to get it to California, I'm in Cincinnati. In order to get to California on the 10th, I have to ship it on the 5th. So again, we have a variety. This REQ is confusing. Which date are we going to use? And then from this point forward, these dates will be the dates that our MRP is using to calculate everything. So that's a very, very good question. Any other questions, Bart?
No, but if anyone does have any more, feel free to use the questions area. And if you have a question, there's a good chance someone else in the room would like to hear the answer as well.
Okay. So we've decided now on the critical dates. And what we're talking about now is what are the critical data fields for Pulse and Macola. And, and you'll see these dates are also, let's say you're not using the MRP of dashboard, you're using the Macola MRP. The same thing applies here. It's all date driven, but you have to know what the dates are. Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about in this getting this organized is, I'll take a look at this here. We're looking at purchase orders scheduled to be received. So that the whole theme here, the topic is what are the critical, how do we get going with this? So we talked about the first thing, everybody has to be on board with the dates. The second one is who's going in, whose job is it to clean up these old purchase orders? Whose job is it to go in and clean up a customer order that was placed 2 years ago, but the customer canceled it, but we never got it out of Macola. We never got it deleted out of Macola. And you might say, well, that never happens to our company. But things happen. But let me give you an example here. In this case, this is, by database, we were in 2021, and I have open purchase orders that are from 2018, 2020, and so on and so on. Let's take a look at this. We ordered 50,000. It looks like 41,005 came in, and we have a remaining quantity of 9,500 for a purchase order that was placed 2 or 3 years ago. Now, somebody may jokingly say, "Oh, that vendor is they're just working hard as anything to ship us the remaining 9,500." Well, I say jokingly, that's never coming in. One of the things we talked about, I was joking with one customer and saying, yeah, the guys and ladies on the dock, they're just waiting every day for that 9,500 to come in. But of course, nobody ever told them it's never coming in. So, but Macola's MRP and our MRP thinks that this remaining replenishment is coming in. It's late. It's 2 years late, 3 years late, but it is coming in, and it is not coming in. So the my soapbox here is somebody in the company has to be in charge of getting rid of, closing out each one of these old orders. Okay, so how do we do that? The reason that people don't do it is it's a pain in the neck to go in one by one by one by one and close 100 orders. So one of the things that Macola did a few years ago, it was great. They created a utility built into the software that allowed you to do a mass close of old purchase orders. The difficulty is this great utility, they never told anybody about it. So in the handout material that I gave you today, there's a white paper that we developed on how to force a mass closing of old purchase orders. It doesn't purge them, it closes them. Okay, this is something else that's confusing is, okay, we close our purchase order. Somebody will say to me, yeah, we go in and we change them to a C status. C is in Charlie, C is in closed. Isn't that right, Mike? No, it's not. They have to be changed to an H status, which means that MRP will not see them. If you change them to a C status, this 9,500 will still be showing up in Macola's MRP and in our MRP. So they have to be changed to an H status. That doesn't sit well with a lot of people. So please read over the white paper that I sent you on forcing the close of old purchase orders. And the reason I'm dwelling on this is because when you get down and start running the reports later, you'll say, well, this isn't working right. We don't have any of this part on order. Where's this coming from? And that's why this cleanup is so important. The other part that's just as important, although typically not as critical or as harmful, is having accurate bills of material. In other words, if you had a substitute um, that you are using as a component and you didn't change the bill of material, McCullough is going to think, and our MRP is going to be telling you to order the old, the old part. So this next concept that I want to bring in, I work with a company, one of our McCullough customers, and unfortunately they were purchased by Honeywell, and they moved the whole operation to Mexico and Bolivia and things like that. Um, but when Honeywell came in, they invoked tremendous amount of discipline. First of all, they have like 100 locations, and among those 100 locations, they have over $1 billion of inventory. And they really do a good job in managing inventory at every single location. This was like a $50 million operation that I was helping in. So they had a concept called PFE part, a plan for every part, PFEP. And at the beginning of that, this company had 5,000 components. And we said, no, this makes no sense. We can't have a plan for each individual 5,000 parts. But when we start looking at it by ABC category, when we start looking at it by product category, we have families of products that all have the same plan. So what does this mean? What this means is that we have to think through, depending on the part, maybe it's the vendor or the lead time, we need a plan. And that plan is that we need to have an accurate ABC category, and we need to have an accurate min or reorder level, and we have to have an accurate max. So this company I was working with, they never thought about a max. In other words, they just ordered and hoped that it was going to come in on time. The focus was not on ordering to a level that we knew that we wanted to hold it. So their whole concept was you have to know what the min is or how you're going to reorder it. In some cases, you may be reordering based on a reorder level. Others may be based on demand of the production or the customers. And then do you want a safety stock or not? So we're not going to answer those questions today, but I just wanted to leave you with this concept that Honeywell really knows what they're doing. They have $1 billion worth of raw materials, and this concept worked. We had about a year before they switched them to another software, and then I was gone, and well, the whole operation was gone. So here, to summarize, we've been talking about critical data fields, critical due dates, plan for every part, and the back here, I'll go back to it again, this administration, this MRP setup. Now, a lot of people who are listening today are not going to have access to this. So you need to go to your Pulse dashboard administrator and excuse me, and have them or work with them to make sure that these dates are the dates that you want to have in here. And something else I'm seeing here, you can also include different order status codes for purchase orders. Like for example here, I have unreleased, released, and printed orders for shop orders. This is shop orders is where you may not want to have generated orders included until they're released. So you have to think about that. Okay.
Have a couple more questions, Mike?
Sure.
Let's see, the first one is back when you were showing the make column in reference to the bill of materials.
Okay.
Whether you can make the product. One customer wants to know, is that out of the box or does that require special setup?
Nope. This this is an add-on extra that we charge for, but no, there's two reports here. This is what we call our advanced screen designer, where you have an upper report and then the drill down is below that. So no, this top report here is I think it's the manufacturing production schedule report, and then down below here, this is a custom query. So what this does is it produces a summarized bill of material in the event that you have this bushing used at say 3 levels of the assembly, it summarizes it into one row here.
Okay. One more question. The tabs that you're showing, when customer says they don't believe they have access to those tabs, do you know what they need to do for them to show on their dashboard?
Um, well, this is, I forgot to mention this at the very beginning. We're on the beginning of page 3, and the comment I wrote here was that some of the reports that I'm showing today may or may not be turned on with your software, and some of them, like these two particular ones here that are in yellow, these are an extra cost, and I think that's why I have them in yellow. Um, so the first thing to do would be to go to your Pulse administrator and make sure. I'll give you an example. In production, not everybody's screen. We find these terms over. It may not say component shortages. The component shortages screen may be here in the summary instead. But feel free to call us up. We can start a Zoom meeting. We can take a look at how you have things set up. Um, Additionally, occasionally we will add a new report. Um, so, for example, this inventory detail report, we added this about 8 years ago, but this replaces Macola's multiple level item view. And some people, for some reason, never had it turned on. So maybe a long answer, but talk to your administrator first and then give us a call.
Okay, we've got a couple more. Do you want to?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Go through? Okay. When ordering, can you have a master copy like in Macola?
And that would be for customer orders. You can have, I guess I'm not sure of, on production or on shop orders and production orders, you can copy orders. I guess I need maybe let's come back to that later. Let
Yep.
that person put in.
Yeah, feel free to add more to your question, or we can answer offline as well.
Yep.
Okay, the last question is, what if the company uses a flat bill of material? Does it aggregate like items?
Yes, that's what I called a minute ago. Um, that this is what I call a summarized bill of material. It flattens the whole bill of material. So if this bushing was used in 3 levels, it combines the whole requirement into, let's say there's three needed, and 2 needed. It combines it into 8. So this is what I call a summarized bill of material. It flattened it out. Any other questions, Bart?
No, I think that's it for now. Thank you.
Okay, good, thank you. So I think what I'd like to do now is to, and feel free to ask questions as we go along, um, is to talk about some of these reports that we have. This inventory, let me go back in inventory, this inventory status that we looked at. This is the first one I wanted to, so everybody can see that I can commingle reports that come out of columns out of Macola with columns that we've added, and all of these fields in the cream color are available in different other reports. So if I'm in a reorder advice report, when I go to the column chooser, I can add, well, these have already added there. So these fields are all in the column chooser. Now, if you're not familiar with the column chooser, let's talk about what that is. The column chooser is an attempt to provide you with a facility to add columns or remove columns on a report. You do not need to know the name of the column, the technical name. You don't need to know the file. Some people call it the table. You don't have to know this concept called linking. You just need to know that you have an item and you want to add it to So we've converted everything to what we call business English. So you're seeing here on-hand dollars, current year, period 1 through 12, on-hand dollars, prior year 1 through 12, on-hand quantity 1 through 12, and so on and so on. So that's a lot of what we're seeing here. So these fields that we've added in the status, the intention is they're available now in all the reports for you to make use of. And again, everybody's going to do it a little bit differently. So that I want to show you that in inventory status. Inventory turns, I'm sorry, inventory, I'm in the wrong place here. Inventory turns. Embarrassingly as it is, Macola's ABC calculator program does not work right. It's kind of awkward to say that every time. Inventory class ABC classes need to be calculated separately for manufactured items versus purchased items. They need to be calculated at a per item basis. A customer forced us to put this in here. I've never liked that. They need to be, so in other words, if I have an outside storage area and if it's an A in my main area, it's an A in the outside storage as well. So what we're doing here is we're separately calculating manufactured versus purchased items. Everything in our software follows APIX rules, and we hired my APIX coach to certify a lot of what we have, and this was one of them. So the idea is that if I have a washer or a bolt and I use 1 million of them a year, that's not an A part. So this is based on 12 months usage, and I'll show you what we've done here. Slide up here to the top here. So here we are. We're taking the past 12 months worth of dollar usage, and we're saying that 80% of that dollar usage are A items. So for example, here I have an item that currently is an A, but it should be a B. So we give you the flexibility. If you want to, you can say, no, I want to override that. I want to leave that to be an A. So when I say update, it takes everything that's here. The ones that are in bold are those suggested changes. So this is the first level here. Separately calculate. What I started to say before was you want to separately calculate because you want to be able to have these graphs that show the work that you're putting into this. So improving inventory turns is extremely difficult, as you know. So my suggestion is in the red setup here, the setup icon, that you only have 3 trailing months. If you make it 12, what will happen is this line will be flat. It will look like you're not making any progress, and it'll be discouraging. If you make it two months, it's too sensitive. So my suggestion is leave it 3, and this is ABC class, and then overall the same thing down here, ABC. And if these all expand here, so if you're having trouble reading this or want to give this a little bit more legroom, you can do that here. Okay, so we talked about inventory turns. We have something else that's important is we do inventory aging. Inventory aging is not too much or too little. Inventory aging is dead. So this is saying that I have 3,000 items, 7% of my inventory, $1 million almost, that I have not touched. No activity, 0, nothing going on with that item. So I'm aging that. We also have aging for purchase orders, and we have aging for production orders. So I'm going down our list here to talk about certain things that we have. Okay, we also have a program called our recalc program, and this recalculates the min-max safety stock levels and PO lead times. And this is really used for people who are using reorder levels as their order policy code. This is, and what this does is you have there's checkboxes here, and then there's queries. These are real simple. They're queries that we develop for you, that we program for you. So for example, everybody's definition, everybody's rule for safety stock is a little bit different. And it's not unusual to change the safety stock levels or the order up to level depending on your seasonality or depending on the financial position of the customer. So we allow your financial position. So if you're in a slow time of the year where cash is critical, you can say, I'm only going to order a 6-week supply instead of a 8 or 12-week supply. So you can control that here. And what it's going to do then is it's going to say, this is my current min, this is my new min, and then you can see what the difference is. I screwed this up, and that's why they're the same. So here's for min, here's for max, here's for safety stock. And you may choose not to have a safety stock, but that's part of this plan for every part. What are we going to use for a safety stock? Lead times are a little bit tough, especially with supply chain disruptions. But we are, based on historical performance, we are calculating lead times. So this is a case then where we're pushing this information back. We are updating Macolas. This is the first time you've seen we are updating the Macola software. We've talked about shortages already. It's on my list. We talked about the MRP shortages. First we had in customer service, we had shortages. Slide this up here. And then the same in production and so on. And again, when you drill down, you have the column chooser where you can rearrange these columns. I'm sure everybody knows you can move these columns around. You just drag the column to where you want it to be, or you can drag it off here to eliminate this. Someone asked, and I just remembered this, someone asked in the registration, how do I export data to Excel? So in this upper corner here, when you're only looking at it, you don't see it. So just move your cursor up to this blue bar, and you'll see the icon for Excel. So every single report in Dashboard, no exceptions, every single report exports cleanly to Excel. Every report can be printed. This is the print image. So I can print from here, but I also have the ability to create a PDF and email this. So I can export this to a PDF and save it. I can export it to a PDF and email it to somebody, which means that if the boss is on vacation, you can email reports to that person if you're talking to a vendor or a customer and the report's appropriate. So the idea is that everything is emailable, everything is PDFable, and exports to Excel. Here's something else that we developed to try to automate the process. This is what we call our purchase order generator. And this is a separately priced item. Maybe half of our customers have it. You go up to purchasing and you go to PO generator. And again, this is following your rules. This can be for day-to-day replenishments, and this can be also for outside operations, for issuing purchase orders for outside operations for shop orders. So if you send items out to be heat treated, to be painted, to be anodized, to be deburred, to be cleaned, this can be used for that. So, and again, this has code in the setup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make believe that I am Pete Bowers and I am in the Cincinnati location. And I'm going to hit refresh. And what this is going to do is based on the rules, it's saying these are all the vendors that Pete Bowers needs to deal with today. And so I'll just use this this ABC fasteners here. I think I'll just use, yeah, I'll just use this as an example. So I just clicked here, and this is telling me these are all the recommended items. As you can see, this setup is not right because these recommended order quantities, the one doesn't make sense. But what I want to show you is that we can override these if we need to. And then what I can do is I can say everything is going to go, or I can one by one say I want these items to go. These fields over here are showing me what my reorder level is, what my lead time is, what my on hand is. The system may be mistakenly telling me that I need to order when I don't really need any. Tells him when my last purchase order was. It's following Macola's rules. If there was a PO multiple, it would follow that. It's showing me here my 312 and usage. You can see this is just test data. So I'm going to say create PO. And at this point, here's my purchase order. Here are all the items here. I could even delete one if I want to. I can have this be an unreleased order, a released order, or a printed order. I have the ability to change anything on the screen, including the vendor. So if I don't want to give this to ABC Fasteners, I can give this to somebody else. If I'm sensitive on weight and cubic meter for over the water container ships, this is going to calculate that as well. And then you're just going to say save it, and then what's going to happen then is it will then, this one will go away, this will disappear, and then you go down to the next one and the next one and the next one. And if you ran out of time to order everything today, then tomorrow whatever you didn't order will show up tomorrow. So this is very, very, it's been very, very time saving for replenishments as well as shop floor outside operations.
Got a few more questions if we have time.
Go ahead.
Okay, back. This person's inventory class generator option is grayed out on their machine as the administrator, and they want to know how they could access it.
What that means is that you're not licensed for that software. So you just have to call us up and we'll talk about, we can give you a quote on that module.
Okay, two more. Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
How can I have my MRP calculate a component need when a finished good is scheduled? The component is in the bill of material, but for some reason, Pulse MRP does not calculate the need to make the component. We are a shop floor user.
Well, we're getting down into your data. We really would have to.
Yeah.
We really would have to look at that. The very first place to look, though, would be an MRP in the MRP detail file. This is the same as Macola's MRP file. In other words, it's saying for every single item, these are my sources of demand and replenishment for that item, including a forecast. So if you're not seeing it in here, the easiest thing then would just call us up on support and we can look at we'll look at the Zoom meeting with your data. But this would be the first place to look here because this is everything that I would look here first. Okay.
One more. Could you go over again the steps? Let me see here. The steps for the recalc on how they can write back to Macola.
Yeah, what we need to do is in the setup, this would be a project where we would have to work with you, and the idea being, we would say, okay, what are the rules for reordering? What are the rules for safety stock? What are the rules for max? And what are the rules for the recommended minimum order quantity? This is just dummy data in here, and then we would have to do a little bit of programming for each one of these, and then we would test that. You would test that on your machine. And then we also can exclude certain items or include certain items as well. So in other words, we would do testing, and then we would say, if I go back here, we would say, we would test that with calculating and see if it looks the way you want it to. We can also have multiple profiles. So you can have different profiles by buyer or by families of products, whatever. So we would start off with interviewing you. How do you handle safety stock? How do you handle when you order something? Are you ordering for a 2-week supply? You're ordering for a 2-month supply? And that's where these fields become so important, because in the old days, you're going to order a 6-week supply, or you're going to order X, and unknowingly your demand for that item, your usage is going down significantly or up significantly, and you'll need to know that. So as we run out of time today, I think the idea would be continue to, you have in the handout is our help desk, and you're welcome to send it back to me as well. Send your questions to me. Any others, Bart?
Let's see, one more. What about the cost of the item on the purchase order release? Do you still have to call the supplier and confirm pricing / delivery, etc.?
Yes, you would have to, unless you have established agreements, contracts with that vendor for the next year. You're going to buy it at such and such price. And that's why in the purchasing, we have exceptions here, and that is purchase orders with no cost, purchase orders with no primary vendor, purchase orders with no lead time, purchase orders where we never went back and put the price in. We released it. This is an open PO, so we've released that order, but we have 17 of them. We never, so it handles allowing you to wait on it. And then if you accidentally release it, in this case, you can drill down and see the detail. Now, what's happening right now is after 60 minutes go by, if I haven't refreshed the software, in the background, it wants to give me the latest information. So it's refreshing my database right now. That's why it's made the mistake of drilling down on the screen. We're waiting for this, Bart. Any other questions that we can use to answer right now?
Yeah, some follow-up to the from question 2 previous questions ago. So two-parter. So the entire database has to be set up by part, because some of our reorder and because some are reorder and some are safety stock.
Okay. But I didn't understand the question.
So they're wondering, does the entire database have to be set up by part?
Well, under the concept of the plan for every part, yes, each one would, or have families that all are the same. Yes, maybe I'm not understanding the question fully. But one of the things that we do in inventory is we have this status report, is to allow you to be able to see, almost like having it in Excel, and see if your factors are set up right, if your lead times, like if you go down here and there's a lead time that's blank, But maybe we need to talk later about that question. I'm not sure that I understand it fully. Okay, Bart?
Yep, I
Okay.
think we're good.
Um, I want to show you something that we have here. This is the inventory status, inventory detail report. This is the one that replaces the multiple level item view. Multiple level item view is great, but it was developed, I think, 25 years ago, um, and and so what we're doing here is we're giving this kind of a head start. This you've seen this for quite a while. I don't need to go into all of this, but this is what we've added recently, these custom reports. So these tabs here, you can have an unlimited number of tabs. So if I have a part here and I want to look up, click on aging, that's how I do that. If I want to click on inventory usage, and I just press escape. If I want to look at transaction history, I can. I just press escape, open purchase orders, inventory allocations, so on. So these are ones that I've created. It's a little bit cumbersome to get started with this. You have to go up to the red wrench. So please just give us a phone call and we'll be happy to set this up for you. But basically, you're clicking on another report to highlight it, and then you're pasting it in here, pasting it in here. And then you can move these around, you can rename them. But this has turned out to be just wonderful rather than have to leave the screen and go to another screen. But I should mention also, if you're new to the software, we talked earlier about the cream colored fields that we've added. You can see how important they are here. Um, this historical summary, I'm looking back 12 months and I'm looking at my on hand and so on. And then I can then look into the future. So this is an MRP regen just for this one individual item. And the idea being that I'm now looking at what the forecasted net on hand quantity going all the way out to infinity. And this right here, this is kind of a quiz. I purposely put this 3,000 in here. This is a bad buy. This is a bad purchase order. I did not need this item. I did not need the 3,000. So I put it in there to show you the impact of how devastating it is to be ordering something and have it be wrong. And then down here below, um, these are the MRP details of our MRP. And then if this was a manufactured item, you see the bill of material, and then everything has a where used. But one thing that people like about this is the ability to look at by location, but I have the column chooser, and now I can add whatever I want. I'm not stuck with just knowing the quantity on hand and so on. I can look at my app usage as well. So that's exciting. Um, we have just a few more minutes here. We have something that we're doing. We took the inventory transaction screen and we changed it. We just made a copy of it. So we wanted to be able to look at items where we have transactions that are resulting in zero, resulting in a negative on hand quantity. Here I'm in the wrong date here. So in other words, I have these items that are over this period of time. If an item occasionally goes negative, we don't care about that. But here's an item that within this, 2-week, 3-week period went negative 5 times. The shipping cart negative 5 times. So what that means probably is that the bill of material is wrong for this and it's pulling in, this is the old carton number. We have some fancy things. We have what we call a purchasing spend. If that's a term that's in your company vocabulary, we have that. We have a supplier scorecard, which is very popular in here in the purchasing module, and I'll just kind of tell you real fast how this works, and then we'll end our meeting. I want to go down here to Mercury Supply. These guys are constantly late. They've been late 307 times over the past 382 receipts, 80% of the time, month by month. We felt it was important to be able to compare Mercury Supply to all vendors. So let's take a look at all vendors. All vendors, even though Mercury is not in good shape at all of our vendors are 55% late. So what I'm wanting to bring this up as an example, is telling us that maybe we are not either enforcing our dates with our vendors, or they're not giving us feedback, or they don't care. But the idea is that we have some work to do with all vendors, not just Mercury. And then if you want to use this with your vendor review meeting, you can, here's the gory details, and they'll say, oh, Mike, we're never late. We always deliver on time. And you can say, I'm sorry, but the facts don't support that. One last screen, and then we'll end here. This is an advanced screen designer report, but it's linking the two reports side by side. In other words, I don't have to drill down, escape to come back. I can just click on a vendor and I can see all of their receipts very, very fast. So this is just an idea that we had to link them side by side, not top to bottom, and then very, very fast you can get your information. And I think that's I did get to cover everything on my list, but I think that we have you have the gist of it. You know our phone number. We have unlimited phone support available to you. The idea is just call us up, and if it's something specific to your data, or if you want to email us as well. So Bart, I promised everybody 50 minutes or 55 minutes. We're a little bit over that. Are there any questions that are hovering that we should handle, or just say thank you to everybody for coming?
There's a couple that came in. I guess I could ask them. If we don't have time, we could send them an email if you want.
Okay. Let's handle this. If people need to go,
yeah,
we'll understand. We have 1 minute to go before the top of the hour. So go ahead and
go ahead and ask.
Go ahead and ask. Yep.
How does it know what the future estimated quantity need is, or is that from actual purchase orders?
Yes, if we're dealing with our shortages, it's taking a look at replenishment, demand and replenishment. Demand and replenishment. It's time phasing it. So if I'll go back in here and take a look at this first one here, it's just taking this demand and replenishment date, and it's just sorting it down, and then keeping track of the, I have a beginning on-hand quantity, and then each one of these is adding or subtracting, and then we can handle the forecast as well. So it's demand, replenishment, including the forecast, and you can see why the dates are so important, especially on the replenishments, to know when it really is coming in. And I should mention that we also have the ability to right-click on a purchase order and change the due date, which is a royal pain in the neck in the standard Macola. So we can right-click on a purchase order and go in and change the promise date or the request date, whichever you're using. Next one.
Okay. I think that's everything. Just one was a comment that they would like to eventually see serial lot tracker discussed in a setting like this.
Oh yeah, just give us a call, because we have a serial lot tracking module in here. I have to go to another database but yes, this handles that very, very well. the whole idea is you can look cradle to grave, um, everything that's on hand, or everything that you've sold or consumed or made, and it's tracking the, the serial line activity. Okay, well, thanks everybody for joining today. This has been great. As usual, we have too much to fit into the hour, but just feel free to give us a call and continue to ask questions, or to maybe set up a special demo to look at something.